Us to Beirut, where our senior reporter, James Andre, has been speaking to healthcare professionals. James, what are you hearing from doctors and relatives of patients there?
Yes, well, indeed, we're starting to get a much clearer picture of the kind of damage that the exploding pager attack has caused, and also the radios. As you know, nearly 40 people have died, 37 at this stage. Over 3,000 people have been wounded, and these are indeed wounds that are very tough. Today, we spoke to one expert of the eyesight, an expert eyesight doctor at the St. George's Hospital here in Lebanon when some of the patients were evacuated. Well, he told us that basically these pagers are handheld and you have to use your two hands to use them, and in order to read them you have to get them close to your face. So he said he operated over 30 patients back to back for hours because indeed, well, they had lost most of their fingers and for most of them lost their two eyes, and saying that indeed this was irreparable, that they would lose eyesight forever, basically go blind. Another doctor was telling us that they had to enact a plan that had been devised after the explosion here at the port in Beirut. You remember it was this massive explosion on the 4th of August. Well, indeed, he was telling us that all the doctors were mobilized, that there was great solidarity, that it was very impressive to see. And he said that, well, that day they just saw an uninterrupted stream of young men, mostly between 18 and 25, arrive in these emergency rooms with severe wounds on their faces and hands, but also the abdomen, legs. So indeed, this has caused massive damage, these attacks. And it's really today that you can start realizing how badly hit Hezbollah and the Lebanese society have been hurt at large. I would add that with the team we spoke to the father of one of these young men who was wounded, who lost most of his fingers on one of his hand, and he was telling us, and this is very much the spirit when it comes to Hezbollah fighters, he said, you know, I'm a Hezbollah soldier, my three sons are Hezbollah soldiers, it's going to get better, and we are going to fight for Hassan Nasrallah. So this is what we are hearing here from Hezbollah militants.
Now, James, with Israel ramping up the pressure on Hezbollah, civilians, people in Lebanon, are obviously stressed and scared. What are you hearing from civilians, from people in the streets?
Well, for starters, the atmosphere on the streets is different. There are few people out and about. It's not the usual crowds in central Beirut, and that's been confirmed to us by a few people saying, you know, people are staying at home. So there is very much, worry when it comes to the situation. Worry also, and, you know, some people were telling us that they wouldn't take elevators with people that they believed could be part of Hezbollah in case something might blow off in their pockets. So you see, there is very much a psychological effect to these attacks. It has been very strong here in Beirut and Lebanon at large. As you can imagine, this is a country that has been through a lot in its recent history, including war, and indeed, you know, violence on the border is something that is sadly quite common. But this is on a different scale. This is what people were telling us. They say, you know, this is a world first. The world has never seen an attack of this type, and indeed psychologically this has a massive effect on the psyche of people here in Beirut. People are worried that indeed things could escalate, and they are to an extent escalating, though a lot of people are also telling us that, well, they feel that Hezbollah does not want a full-blown war, and that it does appear that for now we are still on the brink of something, but not exactly going towards a total, or at least at this stage it's not a complete conflict. I would add something, and there is a report that's come out today that 2 Hezbollah fighters have been arrested just after the border. Now, this was last Sunday, but are being detained by the Israeli army. So there again, you know, obviously everybody here is monitoring what's going on this other border very closely, and everybody is indeed very worried.